There's a type of strength that doesn't show up in mirrors or Instagram photos, a kind of power that doesn't shrink with age, doesn't weaken with failure, and doesn't fade when things get hard. It's the power to keep going when every voice inside screams stop. It's the type of strength that outlasts pain, outlives doubt, and overpowers the mind's most convincing lies. This isn't just physical strength, this is forever strength, the kind that doesn't burn out, the kind that doesn't rely on motivation, the kind that's been sleeping inside, waiting to be called to war. Most people never find this strength, not because they aren't capable of it, but because they've been trained to settle for comfort. They've been told to stop when they're tired, to pause when it hurts, to recover when discomfort appears. But the truth is brutal and pure. Comfort is the killer of greatness. The body doesn't break from effort, it breaks from excuses. The body doesn't weaken from challenge, it weakens from the constant retreat. Every time you slow down, every time you say that's enough, you're teaching your muscles to surrender. And over time, surrender becomes your standard. But there's another path, a path where the mind stops listening to limits, where the body stops asking for permission, a path where you train not to look a certain way, but to become something unshakable. Because true power isn't about lifting more weight, it's about lifting it longer, repeating it under pressure, holding the line when it's easier to let go. That's the kind of strength that changes people, that changes outcomes, that rewrites stories. Your muscles aren't weak, they're underdeveloped. They've been babied by short workouts and easy reps. They've been denied the adversity they need to grow. But here's the truth. Your body was built for far more than you've demanded of it. You have reserves of energy, resilience, and raw strength that have never been touched. And you don't need some elite gene or fancy supplement to unlock them. You need hunger. You need intent. You need to train like you're not just preparing for a workout, but preparing for war. Fatigue is not your enemy. It's your entry point. It's the moment you stop training your muscles and start training your identity. Every second you endure past that threshold, you're carving a deeper level of grit into your DNA. Every rep after exhaustion is worth 10 before it. Because that's where most people quit. That's where mediocrity has its grip. And that's exactly where you break free. You've been told your body needs rest, but what your body really needs is challenge. It needs to be reminded of what it's made of what it can withstand, of how far it can go when the mind finally steps aside. This is about reconditioning every fiber, every cell to respond with force, not fear, with persistence, not panic, with aggression, not avoidance. There's no finish line, no destination where you can say, I've arrived. Strength is not a goal, it's a practice. And the ones who rise, the ones who lead, the ones who dominate are the ones who choose to suffer on purpose. They don't chase comfort, they chase capacity. And that capacity is expanded only in one place, on the edge of exhaustion, where most turn back and the elite push forward. You already have what it takes. But it's buried under doubt. It's smothered by softness. And it's waiting for you to make the decision that today you will no longer train like everyone else. Today you train for eternity, for legacy, for the ability to outlast every obstacle, to outwork every opponent, to outlive every excuse. This is not just about building stronger muscles. This is about becoming a machine that doesn't stop, a system that doesn't fold, a mind that doesn't recognize the word quit. You're not here to chase reps. You're here to become a force. And that force begins the moment you decide, I'm done training for fatigue. I'm training to never fail. You don't need motivation. You need standards. You don't need hacks. You need hunger. You don't need rest. You need reason. A reason strong enough to silence weakness. A reason clear enough to fuel your engine beyond the burn. Because when you have that reason, when you decide you will never be broken, your body listens. It adapts. It evolves. It becomes exactly what it was always meant to be, a relentless, powerful, unstoppable machine. You were made to go further. You were built to endure more. The time for average has expired. The time for elite has arrived. Train your muscles to go forever, and they will. Endurance is not some divine gift passed down to a chosen few. It is not encoded in genetics, not locked behind talent, not reserved for the naturally gifted. Endurance is earned. It is constructed in the darkest, most painful corners of effort, forged where most people choose to give up. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's built in quiet, gritty, unforgiving moments when you make the decision to keep going and then do it again and again and again. No one is born with the ability to last. The truth is, every body begins the same, fragile, inefficient, easily overwhelmed. But the difference between those who crumble and those who conquer lies in what happens next, training. Not just training for performance, training for durability. You don't build endurance by sprinting into intensity and collapsing at the first sign of fatigue. You build it by showing up daily, stepping into discomfort and staying there longer than yesterday. The body is a remarkable machine. It adapts to exactly what you demand of it, nothing more. You ask for a little, it gives a little. You push hard, it resists. You push harder, it transforms. But the key to this transformation is consistency. Repeated exposure to difficulty That's the formula. The longer you stay in the fight, the more your body evolves to withstand it. Not just once, but every single time it's called upon. And endurance isn't just a physical capacity, it's a mental evolution, a rewiring of belief. Because the truth is, the body can go far beyond what the mind believes is possible. What most call exhaustion is merely the brain sounding an early alarm trying to keep you safe. It whispers, "You're tired," when you've barely scratched the surface. It says, "You're done," when you've got hours left inside. Learning to recognize that voice and then ignore it is how you win. Not once, always. This is why the greatest performers, the toughest individuals, the unstoppable forces in every arena all share one thing in common: a deep, cultivated relationship with repetition. They know how to keep going, how to pace themselves not for quick wins, but for long-term domination. Because that's what endurance truly is, the ability to sustain output through pressure, through fatigue, through adversity, and never let performance drop. You don't build this through shortcuts. You build it through exposure, through systems, through training designed not to impress, but to fortify. Volume matters, intensity matters, but consistency, unbreakable consistency, matters most. If you're not showing up on the days you don't feel like it, you're not training for endurance, you're training for convenience. And convenience is the enemy of resilience. To last longer, you need to suffer longer. Not recklessly, but strategically. You increase the time under tension, you cut the rest shorter. You condition the muscles to keep contracting when they're already burning. You force the lungs to find breath where it doesn't exist, and you teach the mind to override the body's panic. This is where the real gains are made, not in chasing performance peaks, but in managing the valleys with power and control. Endurance is never about the first 10 minutes. It's about what happens after that, when the rhythm breaks, when the comfort ends, and when your body begins to scream for mercy. That's when the work starts. That's when champions are made. Everyone feels strong when they're fresh. Everyone looks composed in the beginning. But when the tank is empty and the will is fading, only the trained keep moving. That's endurance. That's the difference. And don't mistake endurance for slow. Endurance isn't about pacing down. It's about sustaining high performance longer than anyone else can. It's the ability to hold intensity, keep pressure, and finish with the same energy you started with, because you trained to last. You built the systems. You stacked the reps. You fought through every drop of resistance. That's what gives you the right to endure. Endurance isn't found. It's built slowly, brutally, intentionally, day by day, set by set, through sweat, breath, and a refusal to ever let weakness set the pace. Train for it. Own it. And watch what happens when you become the last one standing. Not because you're the fastest, but because you're the only one left still going. Comfort is a liar. It whispers soothing lies, tells you you've done enough, that you've earned the right to slow down. It disguises itself as recovery, but what it truly delivers is regression. You don't rise through comfort, you rot in it. Comfort doesn't grow muscle, it softens it. It doesn't sharpen your mind, it dulls your instincts. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you lower your ceiling. You shrink your threshold, or you become easier to break, easier to beat, easier to forget. If you want to be stronger, stop chasing easy. If you want to be durable, stop chasing fast. Strength isn't about how much you can do when you feel great. It's about how much you can sustain when you feel wrecked. That's where capacity is built. And if you're not training for capacity, you're training for collapse. Capacity is what separates the elite from the average. Anyone can perform well for a short burst. Anyone can go hard when they're fresh. But when the load gets heavier, when the rounds stack up, when there's no oxygen left in your lungs and no fire left in your legs, that's when capacity shows up. That's when your true training is exposed. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of conditioning. So build conditioning that never lets you fall. Training for capacity means shifting your focus. It's not about the pump. It's not about chasing a number for ego. It's about chasing what lasts. The goal isn't to be strong once, it's to be strong forever, to move under pressure, recover on the fly, and carry more weight physically and mentally than anyone else around you. Not once, but daily. It means trading max out sets for long, grinding ones. It means cutting your rest, controlling your breath, and increasing your time under tension. It means pushing past your comfort threshold until what once broke you becomes your new baseline. And then doing it all over again. Capacity is the currency of warriors. It allows you to dominate not just in the first round, but in the last. When others burn out, fade, and disappear, you remain. Not because you're the most talented, but because you're the most prepared. Because your training wasn't designed to impress, it was designed to fortify. And fortified systems don't break when things get heavy. They carry the weight and keep moving forward. Look around. Most people train with the goal of looking good. That's where it stops. The mirror is their finish line. But the mirror doesn't measure resilience. The mirror doesn't test your lungs at mile 10, doesn't care how you hold up under pressure, doesn't reward the ability to recover mid-set and keep pushing. but capacity does. And when the pressure's on, capacity wins every single time. Your body has two settings, preserve or perform. If you always stop when it hurts, you're training it to preserve. You're teaching your nervous system to downregulate, to shut you down when discomfort rises. But if you train with intention, if you consistently push past thresholds and recover without stopping, you flip the switch. You rewire your system to perform, even under stress. That's how capacity is built. And once it's built, it becomes part of you. You'll notice it outside the gym too, in the way you handle pressure, chaos, responsibility. Because when you've trained yourself to operate at high output under fatigue, nothing overwhelms you anymore. Where others panic, you execute. Where others break down, you breathe through it because your engine is different. Your system is hardened. Your performance is trained, not temporary. But you only earn this through discomfort by making it your new home, by embracing it not as a punishment, but as a requirement. There is no peak without pain. There is no legacy without limits being destroyed. So stop chasing comfort. It gives you nothing but mediocrity wrapped in safety. Instead, chase capacity. Build a machine that doesn't slow down, a mindset that doesn't fold, a body that adapts to whatever you throw at it and asks for more. You weren't made for minimal effort. You were built for maximum endurance. And the only way to reach that potential is to train until what breaks most people becomes your warm-up. Push for capacity, and you'll never need to chase comfort again. Mental fatigue is not real in the way you've been told. It's not a wall, it's a warning, a signal, not a shutdown. It's the mind's desperate attempt to slow you down before your body ever needs to. It doesn't mean you're finished. It means you're finally entering the place where growth begins. But most people don't know the difference. They confuse discomfort with danger. They mistake the first flicker of resistance as a full stop. And that's why they never win. Mental fatigue is a trap. It convinces you that tired thoughts equal a tired body. It whispers you're done when you've barely scratched the surface of your capacity. The brain is hardwired for safety. Its default mode is survival, not performance. It wants you comfortable. It wants you predictable. It wants you to avoid the edge, because on the edge, things feel uncertain. But that edge is where everything changes. That edge is where you become someone unrecognizable to your former self. Now, understand this, your body can do far more than your mind believes. Every elite performer in sport, in combat, in business, in life knows this truth. They don't rely on how they feel to dictate how far they go, because they know that feeling tired is not the same as being tired. They know that fatigue isn't a fact, it's a suggestion, and suggestions can be rejected. When you train, the moment your brain tells you to stop is exactly the moment to keep going. That's the signal. That's the door. And when you walk through it, your nervous system adapts, your muscles respond, your mind upgrades. Every rep after I can't is where the real change begins, because it's not just a physical struggle, it's a psychological battle. And the only way to win it is to keep moving while your brain begs you to quit. Mental fatigue thrives in the gap between effort and identity. When you haven't fully committed to who you are becoming, your mind will try to drag you back to who you used to be. It wants comfort, familiarity, limits. But you're not here to be limited. You're here to be lethal. You're not here to retreat. You're here to rise. And that only happens when you learn to override the noise. You override it by detaching from your emotions and locking onto your mission. Or you separate thought from truth. Just because a voice in your head says slow down doesn't mean you listen. You replace it with a command, keep going, keep pushing, keep proving. You silence the lie with action. You replace hesitation with movement. That's how you take control. That's how you dominate your inner environment. Fatigue is not a sign to stop. It's a sign to focus, to narrow your vision, to fall back on your system, your structure, your training. Because when your feelings fail, your discipline must take over. That's the difference between the average and the elite. They don't need to feel strong to act strong. They don't need to feel energized to deliver effort. Their output isn't dependent on mood. It's driven by mindset. You build this mindset by doing the hard things, especially when they feel impossible. You don't wait for inspiration, you manufacture it through motion. The days when your body aches, when your energy dips, when your brain tells you not today, those are the days that separate you from everyone else. Most people wait for clarity. You move in chaos. Most people slow down when it's hard. You accelerate. And over time, you condition your mind the same way you condition your muscles. You teach it that resistance is not a threat. It's a cue to activate strength, a cue to tap into reserves, a cue to double down. And eventually the lies get quieter. The fatigue gets weaker because you've trained yourself to operate above them. Your endurance isn't just in your body, it's in your decisions, in your attitude, in your response to the discomfort that breaks others. You outlast because you outthink. You push through because you don't negotiate. You've eliminated the option to quit. It's not even in the room anymore. Mental fatigue is not the end. It's the invitation, the test, the barrier between who you are and who you could become. Deny the lie, override the signal, keep moving. Because when you stop listening to tired thoughts, you start hearing the truth of your potential. Pain isn't the problem. It's the process. It's not something to run from. It's something to run into. Because inside the pain is the power. Inside the pain is the path. Every moment you flinch, every time you pull back, you're not avoiding pain. You're avoiding progress. And that's why so many stay weak. They treat pain like an enemy, but those who rise, those who dominate, those who become unshakable, they treat pain like a coach. Pain is not here to punish you. It's here to refine you. It shows up to identify the weak links in your body, in your will, in your system. It reveals what needs to be rebuilt, not avoided, rebuilt. It speaks one language, adapt or stay average. And the longer you run from it, the longer you stay stuck in the version of yourself that doesn't finish, doesn't endure, and doesn't win. Pain is the barrier between who you are now and who you could be. Most people never make it past that barrier. They stop when it gets sharp. They retreat when it gets uncomfortable. But that discomfort is the invitation. That burn, that tightness, that pressure, it's not weakness. It's transformation under construction. It's the raw material of greatness being shaped through stress. Your muscles don't grow when you lift the weight. They grow when the weight breaks them down. It's the same with your character, the same with your resolve. If you never feel the pain, you'll never trigger the change. If it's always easy, then it's never enough, because growth doesn't come from what's tolerable. It comes from what's nearly unbearable. That's where the edge lives. That's where the fire is. Pain sharpens focus. When you're in it, you can't fake it. There's no room for distractions, no space for ego. There's only the truth, how badly you want it, how far you're willing to go, or whether you're here to flirt with greatness or fight for it. The ones who win don't wait for pain to pass. They step into it. They use it. They own it. And because of that, they are owned by no one. You want real strength? Then stop negotiating with discomfort. Stop treating it like a stop sign. Treat it like a green light, a signal that you're finally doing something that matters, something that changes your chemistry, your conditioning, your capacity to carry more, lift more, and endure more than the version of you that came before. Pain is the test of commitment. Anyone can say they want results. Anyone can post about the grind. But when the pain hits, that's when it's decided. Do you back down or do you rise? Do you count the seconds until it's over, or do you double down and go harder? Champions don't run from pain, they chase it, because they understand the greater the pain, the greater the payoff. And don't confuse pain with injury. There's a difference. Injury is damage. Pain is demand. The body demanding adaptation. The mind demanding clarity. The spirit demanding proof that you're all in. Most avoid that demand because they think the goal is to feel good. But the real goal is to become unstoppable. And that only happens when you lean into the places most people avoid. You don't grow confidence by avoiding pain, or you build it by surviving it, by stepping into the storm and coming out stronger on the other side. Every painful rep you complete, every brutal session you conquer becomes proof that you can't be broken, proof that your limits are further than you thought, proof that the next level isn't just a dream, it's a choice, one painful decision at a time. So the next time it hurts, good. The next time it burns, perfect. That's the moment you go all in. That's the moment you decide, I don't fear pain, I follow it. Because pain is the roadmap, it's the crucible, it's the forge. Pain doesn't mean stop, it means start becoming something more. The more it hurts, the more you're learning, the more you suffer with purpose, the more you rise with power. Embrace it, channel it, own every second of it, because pain isn't punishment. Pain is the pathway. There's nothing mystical about going further. There's no secret formula hidden in some elite blueprint. Going further isn't luck. It's not a gift. It's biology, ruled by science, activated by strategy, and executed with relentless intent. Your body responds to what you demand of it, not what you hope for, not what you believe you deserve, but what you consistently train for. And if you want to go further, longer, harder than ever before, then you have to understand the science of stress, adaptation, and endurance, and use it to your advantage. The human body is a reactive machine. It doesn't improve because you want it to. It improves because it's forced to. Every time you apply pressure, it takes notes. Every time you push past what's easy, it adapts. Not instantly, but inevitably. That's how physiology works. Your muscular system, your cardiovascular system, your neural pathways, they're all built on feedback. And if you train with precision, you feed your system the exact signals it needs to evolve beyond its current capacity. You don't need to guess what works. You need to stop wasting time on what doesn't. Forget random workouts. Forget convenience routines. Progress lives in structure. Progress lives in consistency. Long sets, short rests, controlled breathing, volume matched with intensity, repetition paired with recovery. That's the formula. Not glamorous, but unstoppable. You want to go further? Train your muscles to withstand prolonged fatigue. Push them past comfort, then teach them to recover on the move. That's the science of durability. Lactic acid threshold, raise it. VO2 max, stretch it. Oxygen efficiency, improve it. You do that by refusing to stop when it's hard. You do that by making every workout a laboratory where discomfort is data and consistency is law. You build endurance through overload, but not just physical overload, metabolic overload, respiratory overload, neural overload. You force the system to perform when it doesn't want to, and in that moment, it rewires, it creates new pathways, it increases energy efficiency, it amplifies muscular coordination. That's not magic, that's mechanism. And it's available to anyone disciplined enough to train with intelligence. If you're still training like you did 6 months ago, you've already plateaued. If you're doing the same reps, same load, same tempo, you're not maintaining, you're declining. The body needs new stimulus, not chaotic stimulus, progressive stimulus. You add time, you add tension, you decrease rest, you increase density. You manipulate variables until your system has no choice but to evolve. And here's the part most ignore. Going further isn't just about doing more. It's about recovering faster while doing it. Recovery isn't rest. It's a skill. You can train it. You can shorten the time it takes your muscles to clear fatigue. You can train your nervous system to bounce back between sets, between rounds, between challenges. The best don't stop because they're stronger. They don't stop because they recover faster. They reset quicker. They stabilize under pressure. And that's built through repeated exposure to fatigue and a refusal to slow down. Our breath control, tempo control, load management, rest modulation. These are not fancy terms. They are tools. You want to master your performance? Learn to master these tools. Don't just lift weight, move it with precision. Don't just grind through sets, execute them with control. Be deliberate, be surgical. Every second under tension is a chance to teach your system what you expect from it. And if you expect greatness, train like it. And don't chase exhaustion. Chase adaptation. Exhaustion is a symptom. Adaptation is the goal. You don't win because you're sore. You win because you're stronger, because your muscles now last longer, because your heart now pumps harder, because your system now performs under fatigue like others do when they're fresh. The difference between failure and going further is not pain. It's planning. It's progression. It's patience. Stop guessing. Start engineering your endurance. Start designing your strength. That's how professionals train. That's how high-performance machines are built. Going further doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. Your body is waiting for the blueprint. Give it one. Feed it stress. Give it reason. Then back it up with consistency that doesn't fade when motivation disappears. You want to last longer? Train smarter, or push harder, and then recover like it never happened. You want to go beyond limits? Then stop asking and start engineering the version of you that refuses to stop. The science is there. Use it or get left behind by those who do.